someone commits suicide in one of the rooms, and they have to get rid of his body.
Well,
don't spoil it.
Yeah. You literally live streamed a big spoil. That's like, I don't know.
Well, you should have watched it in film club, shouldn't you?
Well, no, I mean, no, I don't care. Like, but it's like, you spoil it for everyone on YouTube. All right, okay, let's talk spoilers. So, for Doctor Strange, Multiverse Madness, right?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
You haven't watched it yet? Oh, I thought you'd watched it already, man.
No, I'm waiting for Camilla because she doesn't want to watch it until maybe tomorrow. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, that bloody Camilla. I'm joking.
There's only one person and ruined everything.
Yeah. Or at least you're not like Alec. You're not like, I'm not going to watch this, and then someone gives him a DVD, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it.
Well, I suppose I'm obliged to now.
Where's Pat?
I don't think Pat's coming tonight.
What about John?
Well, he's said that he might, which
usually means no.
Yeah.
It's about.
I'll tag them both now and see if they come.
It's about 80% now.
Oops. I just sent a message to see if they come. Yeah, we're streaming, yeah.
Oh, no.
Did you want to disclose something that you didn't want on record?
Yeah, I thought that was Simon.
You'd be surprised if it was anyone else, to be fair. No, he said he'd be with us shortly.
It's certainly not the Quiet Family.
What they put in their cake, that's the thing.
Yeah, John and Pat aren't coming.
No.
I don't get what Pat's issue is, because I thought he was like, oh, I'm not going to go on the doctor's shit now.
I don't know. I think it's just one of those situations where we've just got to let Pat be grumpy for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he will always come around. I mean, touch wood, but he always does. But
he'll be fine at some point. I think sometimes with Pat, it's just that he's had a bad day at work.
Yeah,
so,
and he takes it. And obviously, Alec just shouting at him, it doesn't help.
As it often doesn't.
Pat, tell me why you don't like it.
That's not good enough. Tell me everything.
Is that mean? Why can't you be normal?
Oh man, I have to pick that film at some point. I love it. I really liked
Is that?
the Babadook.
The Babadook.
Yeah.
Is that where it's from?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you know? I've still got a bit of a gripe with Matt over that, because years and years ago, some guy approached us in Romford, and he asked if we wanted to go to a preview screening of it, and Matt was like, "No, I don't see the point." And I was like, "But that would have been really cool."
What, not seeing a film? Or was like, just say you don't want to go. Don't say something stupid like that.
Yeah, and because Matt replied first, the guy was like, "Okay," and he just walked off. And ever since, I've always been like, "Man, we missed out on a potentially really cool situation there." Oh, Alex had an haircut.
Alex,
no, I just watched it. Good day, hairy penises. How are we doing?
Good to see you.
Ooh, why do you want to hear your penis?
A lot of sound going on.
Okay, so are we waiting
Simon,
for?
Tell your mail order wife to shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Oh.
That's wrong.
Yeah, we all. This is all of us, sadly.
Oh wait, so no, Pat and John.
Yeah.
No, they're not coming.
The two problematic members of.
I'm just busy doing some stuff, moving the tables and all sorts of stuff. So
okay,
I'm still here.
Since we're all here, today's sponsor is the NHS and health insurance. because like
Yeah.
the amount of like stunts and damage to the body that these guys went through is a tough thing, right? Oh, and Alex just left. He must have got annoyed by the NHS.
Fuck
It says,
NHS.
it says he's joining again now.
What?
I don't know what's
I
happened to
think
him.
maybe,
Maybe he's gone from his phone to his laptop.
Oh, that actually makes sense. Right?
Oh, he's back. Is he back in now? Are you back, Alex?
Connected. Okay. Okay. So, actually, I feel like we have to wait for him first before we start talking about it.
It does seem rude not to.
Fucking hell.
There he is.
Oh, he
there
is. Okay.
is.
So, Rob,
Were you all debating to start without me?
yeah, I feel like it would have been rude.
You bunch of fucking traitors.
Hey, we
no,
ended up on the right side.
Yeah, we waited. So, Rob,
Jackie Chan would all take a dim view of you fucking people.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, like if you compare, if you do his later movies, it might be as well, right?
He'll come and kick your ass.
Well, no, I mean, he's a bit more communist than we want to be. sorry. Anyways, back to the film. So, Rob, why did you choose Police Story?
Well, you know, like I said last week, I thought it'd be a nice, light-hearted week where we can just smile and have fun together. But it
And as
hasn't
long as-
turned out that way.
As long as we ignore everything else that happened, you were right.
But no, like on a serious note, I love Jackie Chan. And I think just like kung fu movies in general, man. Like I've like grown up with them, and they all do this thing where like Alec would argue that Star Wars does this for me as well, but they just do this thing where like they just shut off the logical part of my brain, and I just love sitting and watching them, and I always have fun with them because I'm either going like, oh wow, or I'm laughing at something, and this is probably like one of the best examples of that. But the problem is that I noticed this week that because the logical part of my brain sort of naturally shuts off to kung fu films, I think I kind of approached this without the logical part of my brain on, and I was kind of like, yeah, the story's kind of like wafty, but it doesn't have to be great. But then the more I started thinking about it, the more I realised that it's actually a really well-crafted film as well. So that's been quite a nice surprise this week. But yeah, just generally, I love the film. Like it just is. Every time I watch it, I always laugh at the same bits, and I always watch the fight scenes and go like, oh shit, and that's exactly what you want from kung fu, right? So yeah, I basically picked it because I love it, and I also found out this week that this is the first Jackie Chan film that Alex watched. So I'm pretty happy to have introduced Alex to Jackie Chan.
That's interesting. Oh, my intro to this thing is as the intro to me, just a quick intro. Let me say this. Does anyone here watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No, I don't know.
I've seen
Plus,
it, but
does
I've
love
seen
it.
bits of it.
Okay. I can only describe the comedy and the style of of Police Story is a very long episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And if you watch-
99 is better.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Controversial.
Wow. Okay. We can have words.
I'm gonna have
watches a lot of it.
Oh,
so
shit.
I'm used to
We're gonna have. Okay. No. Sorry.
I'm gonna have to murder two of you on Minecraft.
controversial.
So. Okay.
It's
I'm voting on
better
the
in
mutiny.
some ways, not
My-
always.
Anyway,
but
my
just
introduction.
saying.
My introduction. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a longer episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine with martial arts is what I would describe Police Story without Emmanuel's rude interruption.
It was rude as well.
Okay, but,
Oh, fucking hell.
but, it-
Yeah.
but in any case, that's my quick introduction. Dan, how about you? A quick intro of what you think of the movie?
Can I just say to any just innocent onlookers, Simon's views did not represent the views of Film Club. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is trash.
Oh,
It does not deserve to be
Oh,
likened to any Jackie Chan property. Fuck you.
Camilla has lost all respect for you, Alex. Just letting you know.
That's okay.
Fucking hell.
I'm fine with that. No
Not
problem.
even
what
having
did you
an argument
say?
about the film.
If people
Oh,
respect
for
Brooklyn Nine
all your
more than me,
opinions.
that says more than I need to defend.
Sorry, she lost respect for all your opinions. Sorry.
That's okay.
Not just Alex. Sorry.
Bloody Brooklyn Nine-Nine liker.
Wait, what have I done?
Don't pander to it, Ben.
I haven't even seen an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Sorry, I'm getting so much background noise. I don't understand where it's coming from.
It's Simon. It's Simon.
Oh, is it mine? Sorry. Oh,
I think it's just because you're using maybe like your laptop mic rather than the mic on your headset, possibly.
is that it? Wait, no,
Possibly,
it's.
yeah.
It doesn't sound as good as a mic on the headphones.
Give me a second.
Bloody hell. How much
It's all right, Humphrey. You'll get to talk
Yeah.
about it in a minute.
yeah, I will.
My Bluetooth headphones let all the background.
Wait, is it
sound
better
in.
now or worse?
It's about the same, I think, actually. Oh, maybe it's better. No, I think it's better. Yeah, I think it's better.
actually.
Yeah.
Exit. Excuse me.
Okay, Humphrey, you go ahead.
I get to talk.
Another thing, actually.
So I grew up with Jackie Chan movies, as well, and it was kind of the comment I said in the Facebook chat that my nan really loves Jackie Chan films, and I remember watching. I think it was Who Am I? Is it Who Am I?
Yes,
One where he's
yeah,
amnesia.
That's definitely one of the best ones.
Yeah, that's a great film. But yeah, like I've watched, I don't know how many. But yeah, I have the same kind of affinity that just these type of films are so great because they're so cheesy. Like the soundtrack is really awful. But I was like, this just makes it. I was laughing at the soundtrack alone.
Wait, are you talking about the soundtrack in Police Story or Who Am I?
Oh no, in this film. Sorry.
I do love the
Must-
soundtrack though. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like every time something bad happens, you just get like the dun,
Ah.
and then every
Yeah.
time you're supposed to laugh, you get a.
That's what I mean. It's so bad that you're laughing at it alone.
Yeah, but it makes it. That's what makes it great, because like the bus, like the scene with the bus, right when he's chasing the bus, it's such an iconic part of like film cinema, right? And it's like, and it's like it's a very catchy song. It's like been like it's the typical chase scene song that's used in like a lot of cinema nowadays. I feel like.
But yeah, like I just remember watching them fondly. So watching this, it was just, yeah, it was great. But even though like now I know a lot more about how they do the stuff or how they did the stunts, and you just think then the people are actually doing it for real, and it's all like, even if they did have padding, they're still going through glass tables and windows, and but there's one where the bloke lands on his neck. He kind of falls backwards, and you see him land, and I'm just like, oh. Yeah, like the end credits when you see all the people getting carted out because they've been fucked up. It's like, people are crazy. People are crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the glory of Hong Kong cinema. There's no CGI, but a few potentially fatal events. You have to live and die for your craft nearly.
Yeah. I think that's something that I was actually thinking of when I was watching it this time, because like I suppose we'll get into it properly later, but I don't know, I've always kind of had like this sort of idea that I don't like action for the sake of action. But while I was watching it this time, I was thinking, but I love this, and I love like your average kung fu movie, and they're basically just they're just pure action for the sake of action. So I was like, why do I like this, but I don't like sort of your average action movie from America? And it's interesting because like, the conclusion that I came to is something that Alex said on the Old Boy call. And it's also something that Jackie Chan said himself in a documentary about this. And I think what it comes down to is the editing, because in this, like the camera is just still and you just get to watch people fight, and there's no kind of like trickery, there's no CGI, it's literally just a still camera and you're watching two people fighting. Whereas if you watch like an action scene from like your average American movie, you've got all of these cuts to hide the fact that the actors can't fight.
They can't act,
And it's just, and I think the difference is that in this, like you see somebody kind of like spin in the air and then like land on an escalator, and you're like, fucking hell. But if you see that in an American film, it's like, what the fuck what happened? Like, it's
I think that's a big thing, because like when we this can be my personal statement, I guess, but like just these were like the best fight scenes that I've had the pleasure to watch in I don't know fucking years. I don't like there's so many things where I like see stuff and I'm like, oh for fuck's sake, I'm watching shit like The Mandalorian where like someone throws a punch and then Mando wraps him up and then he just beats the fucking shit out of him and like the guy he's beating up doesn't move his left arm at all because he's already like and I'm just like fuck me. And watching this where like characters are like trying to beat up Jackie Chan and Jackie Chan is just like fucking killing him, and it's honestly so cool, and like it doesn't shy away from looking a bit silly and being a bit funny because like fighting is funny when you like as an onlooker, and just stuff where like he's leaping off of a car to kick someone through a windshield.
Oh yeah,
that was absolutely great. Yeah.
But it's the whole fight around that car where she's in it and they're trying to grab, and it's just
it's so good.
Fucking well done. Like you wouldn't have thought in like a normal film that someone would be able to do that. Like literally jump off, slide, kick someone, then get off, then just.
He's doing such a cool job. Like cars are trying to drive into him and he like rolls over the bonnet, or like I don't know, just jumps on top of a bonnet. Like he's just so agile and he's doing such a good fucking job. And like I was just so impressed, honestly. Like, and then but yeah, like when Rob pitched this initially, sorry Simon, but when Rob pitched this initially and he was like, I think it's like a 6. I just think it's neat. And like, you know, and I was just watching it going like, that's a problem. Oh no, wait. Every time I thought I had a problem with the film gave me an explanation, negated the problem, and I was like, oh wow, this is weird. Never had this actually.
Is it like story wise or like what's
yeah.
Sense?
Story wise, just mechanically, like there's stuff like the thing with the witness getting attacked by like a masked intruder, and I was watching, I was going like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, what's happening here? Like, why is he not stabbing her? Like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, oh, it's Jackie Chan's mate, and Jackie Chan's brought him in to like scare her into like being a bit more obedient. And it's like, oh, cool, that makes sense. And like, I was like in the process of going 9, and then I go, oh, 10. Cool. And I was like, man, this is fucking rare.
That's a really good example, actually, of like something that I picked up this time, because like I vividly remember the first time that I watched it, and just that scene happens, and I was sat there like, oh man, don't ruin it already. Like, why are you doing something like this? And then when you realise that the joke is on you and it's Jackie Chan's mate, it's just like the relief you feel is just, yeah, it's you don't get it in any other film, because it's just like you're kind of rooting for it, and then it goes like, yeah, no, it's fine actually. This was all like this all along. But then this time I also noticed that later on when she records over the stuff that he got out of her by doing that, it's like, I don't know, it just ties it up so nicely, because the bit that she specifically records over is what he got out of her, and it's just like, man, that's a really nice kind of like economy of storytelling thing that I didn't give it credit for before.
That's the thing. I remember when, like, just after I'd watched it, and you were like, I was sure this was a 6, and I was like, I'm not being funny. I do genuinely think this is a 10. Like, I don't actually see a problem with this. Like, the amount of times I've gone, this is a problem, and the problem has just been undercut and gone, no, it's not actually one. And I'm like, oh, I have no recourse but to give this a 10. I'm sorry.
Did you guys watch? Oh, sorry. Did you guys watch it on Amazon, which is like the American version, or did you guys like watch it with the, like what Rob said before, the Japanese version with the uncut bits?
I watched it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where did you
Amazon.
see that?
I also say, just before I have to go again, the part with Jackie, I've never seen the whole thing, the whole film. I think my dad might have showed me parts of it when I was a kid. But when I first saw the guy coming in to try and kill her, I think literally after the first few times he missed, I was like, oh, it's his friend. And then I was pissed off because it's like, are you really doing this? But
Oh
yeah.
man.
So I realized like almost as soon as he started trying to like attack her, I was like, because the thing is, like Jackie Chan doesn't appear straight away, so I knew. I was just like, wait, no. This is just a ploy. But anyway, carry on.
Tell you what, man,
One more thing as well.
One little
This film, something that made me laugh is that it's a lot like Nollywood or modern Nollywood, like 10 years ago.
what is that? I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Have you watched Nollywood, Rob?
I, th-
I
I
mean, I've
think
never watched the film in full, but what I have seen is quite different.
I think the lack of plot holes is
Oh no, I don't mean about the fighting quality or anything. The sound effects and the way they do music.
Oh, to be fair,
It's-
I do want
yeah.
to talk about that actually, because so it was filmed at a time where like all films in Hong Kong were filmed silent and then dubbed after.
yeah,
and yeah, I don't
for
know, maybe that's one for later, but yeah.
it's for consistency's sake and things that they can edit later. You know, it's the unfortunate part of the Hong Kong cinema. That's because because the reason why I asked about the for the film is because the subtitles didn't quite match what was being said, and I think I'm the only person who can actually verify that. And I'm like, oh wait,
I gotta say, I was looking at the dubbing and going like, I can't speak the language, but I know for a fact that this is not matching up with what's being said.
yeah. So it's a question of like there's certain phrases and certain like points that I feel like you guys wouldn't get, not just like culturally, but like in the language barrier. It feels like, oh wait, that doesn't make sense of it if they say it like that. But why did they say it like that in the English translations? It's like,
This is interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't consider that Simon would be able to actually like know the intricacies of what they were saying without the dub.
Oh yeah, Simon, if you can explain, that's great. Obviously, I just read the subtitle version, so
Oh yeah, no, just this is very interesting. As like having a native Chinese speaker, like this is quite cool.
I feel there are certain points that they purposely edited out, but like we'll get into that for a bit. So Ben, what was your short introduction to the film, or how would you introduce yourself to the film?
It's good.
It's good, yeah.
And that's that.
You've
No,
never sounded more drunk.
But honestly, like I haven't seen many Jackie Chan films, but like he's always been in my like subconscious and always been in what's the word, like since I was a kid, he's always been there. He's like a figure like Robin Williams. It's just you think of one thing and you think Jackie Chan, it's gonna be like a lot of fun, awesome kung fu, and this film is basically that to exactly what you think it'd be. And it is just like everything about this film is kind of like it's fun and it is of its time, but it kind of everything about it works. There's nothing really about it that kind of like it knows exactly what kind of film it needs to be, and it's quite consistent in that fact. And then constantly throughout the film there's not a lull moment, or not many, where it's just not either entertaining in terms of like the fight scenes or like the humor. And some of it is a bit dated, like you said, like the sound effects, which I found a bit like that's kind of like very like on the nose, or the music is very kind of cliche and it kind of like pokes you into thinking of a certain emotion and makes you feel a certain way. But a lot of 80s movies were like that, so I'll give it a pass for that reason. But I think what's good, so the strongest thing about this film is how much Jackie Chan kind of puts his all into it, and everything about it is just him just being like, I'm gonna put my 100% in every scene. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna work my ass off, make sure everyone realizes that I'm doing all these stunts for real. And there's a consistency with everything. Every long shot is him doing it. Every close up is him doing it. And I appreciated that very much. And even if like Rob says that it influenced a lot of films, which I didn't know about, so I do feel that's quite impressive. And looking back on it now, it's like if I saw this film younger, I probably would have loved it as much as Rob did. But yeah, I do think it's a really good fun movie, and it's probably one that I'll probably appreciate more I see of for that reason. Yeah.
I mean, I always like, I remember so well like how I discovered it, because I think I've told you guys before what I used to do, where I used to like look for directors in Blockbuster and that kind of thing. And yeah, like when I was a kid, like there was a phase for a long time where like every Friday night me and my mum would watch Rush Hour. And I
Nice.
remember going to Blockbuster, and at the time they had like maybe 3 or 4 kung fu films just in like their own little section, and like one of them was always Iron Monkey.
Well, Iron Monkey is a pretty good martial arts film, right? It's
Yeah, it's like the standard one, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
it's the one that everyone knows. But yeah, I always remember like they had like 3 or 4 martial arts films, and I remember Police Story being one of them. And I can't remember if I bought it on DVD or not, but I didn't watch it until I was about 15 or 16. But I just remember the first time watching it, and it was just such a nice experience, because it was like, oh, I'm finally going to see like another sort of, well, I'm finally going to see a Jackie Chan film from when he was still in Hong Kong, and like, oh, that's really cool. And I remember putting it on, and I just remember like the title card coming up saying directed by Jackie Chan. And I just remember being like, oh, so if it's directed by Jackie Chan, then that means he's got complete control over this. And then it's like, oh, it's also written by Jackie Chan, and he also sang the theme tune. And it's just like all these things just kind of like coming together at once. And I just remember being so excited about it. And I think even now I'm really excited about it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, because like when you do, it's because he was part of like the what's the name of the company? But essentially the Beijing like opera actors, and like those people are like all like his stunt team as well. Like all of his friends with all those students, and all of his like classmates are like Samuel Hung, and like people who do like Kung Fu Hustle, right? Those are all his classmates essentially. And it's like, hey, do you want to do an action film together? I mean, yeah, sure, why not? We did all that stuff like that before. And essentially, like all the stuff you see in the theater, like all those circus acts with like them swinging trapezes and with spears and knives and swords. Yeah, that's like a Friday for them, you know. So it's just like let's make a film by it. And because he made, I can't remember what he made before Police Story, but he had a decent amount of money. It's kind of like how Quentin Tarantino had to make Reservoir Dogs to get that money. Then he makes everything else, and it's like, all right, so this was his Reservoir Dogs. Then he gets to make more films afterwards. Some good and bad films, but that's another discussion another day, I say.
Yeah. But I just love that kind of film. Like it's kind of similar to what we were saying about The Quiet Family. Like this and sort of like Evil Dead and like that kind of film where like it only exists because somebody gave enough of a shit about it to go and make it. I just love that. And I think when you've got that kind of like that sort of passion behind it, it's just like it covers up a lot of flaws for me. Because even something like The Room, like obviously like it's a piece of shit, but because like because the reason that it exists is that Tommy Wiseau cared enough to go and make it, like it's always gonna have like I'm always gonna have a soft spot for it just for that.
Well, I mean, didn't he also have like £1 million, right? Or like how many?
But what a way to spend your time, right? Like if you've got the resources to do it, then yeah, I don't know. I just really like that kind of like do it yourself attitude. And yeah, like with this, you've got that, and you can see that like so much of Jackie Chan's going into it, to the point where there's like multiple scenes where he could have easily died. Like the one at the end where he slides down the pole and you've got all of those lights exploding. Like he got second degree burns and dislocated his pelvis doing that. And yeah, it's just like I don't know, it's that similar soft spot to something like The Room where I'm going like, man, this is awesome because this only exists because you wanted to do it. But on top of that, it's also a really good film. It's
that was something I wanted to say. Like, this is the first film I've seen where it's got the lead actor is also the director, but also the writer, but also like the main producer, where it doesn't feel like a vanity project for the sake of a vanity project. And I'm like, man, you were fucking willing to jump on a pole and slide down the length of a fucking mall.
That whole pole scene. I remember growing up and seeing an interview. I'm sure you've probably seen the same one, Rob. where like at first he was like, yeah, this is gonna be fine. And then when he jumped, he's like, this is such a bad idea. This is such a bad idea.
Yeah.
And he was
I
just
mean-
like, the scariest stunt in my life was that one. Like, obviously, because they were meant to plug it into low voltage batteries, but
Yeah, that's right,
they
yeah.
plugged it into the wall. He's
Yeah.
about to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
'cause,
just
like, that's the reason why you see that shot so many times, because the first time
Yeah.
was Jackie, right? But afterwards he nearly died, and like from like getting electrocuted to death and all amongst other things, right? They went, okay, let's take him to the hospital. But the shot wasn't that good. I guess we'll have to do the shot again with other people. I guess I mean, like,
Well,
I mean,
this was my whole thing, because I was like, usually, if I was watching a film where the lead actor was the director, producer, and main writer, and they showed that shot 3 times to show me how cool that was, I'd deduct points out of the fucking ass. But I'm like, no, to be honest, fair fucking enough, you could have very easily fucking died doing that. Like, show it 3 times, man. Like, you fucking earned doing that. You've worked your fucking ass off for like
He
these
was
fight
crazy.
scenes. Show that to me as many times as you fucking like. It was amazing. Well fucking
think-
done. My jaw was hitting the fucking floor. Like, go for it.
I think the best thing about that scene is if you watch it and you know the background of it, it's really funny because like, so Jackie Chan was perched there and like he was already like shitting himself and he was like, man, if anything goes wrong, I'm dead. And so he was already like, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I've got to do it now. So he's like perched on this thing and they're at the end of filming. They can't afford any more film than what they've got, which is already a limited amount. And so Jackie Chan says to them, watch for me. When I'm ready, I'm going to nod. When I nod, roll the cameras and I'll do the thing. And so he gets up there and he's like trying to hype himself up and he clicked his neck and they interpreted that as the nod. So the cameras started rolling and he heard the cameras and he was like, oh, fuck, I've got to do it now. And if you watch it, you see him sort of like, his face is just like, oh shit. And he goes, ah, and then jumps. And it's just like, when you know that like that's a genuine thing where he's like trying to like G himself up into doing it, it's brilliant.
Emmanuel, I feel like this should be a personal statement.
Oh,
So
Indeed.
you go ham on this one.
yeah, personal statement. I forgot about that. Just before a personal statement, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Yeah.
We can now.
Yeah, I was listening to all my friends.
He just goes like that and it's like Groot.
Vin Diesel.
Sorry, what was I gonna say?
Oh, no.
Changed my name to Groot.
You've done
Anyway,
It sucked.
but anyway, I'll get it. But anyway,
Can we go back that way?
yeah, go back that way. I'm trying to remember that was it. The amount of like crazy things, like even like any kind of parkour person looking at this film, like it's freaking crazy. Like even the parts where he was running down that hill towards the bus. It was just like, but besides the part where he was sliding, that was so risky. If he made one wrong move, that was it. He would be in so much pain. I mean, yes, he was in pain a lot of times in the film and stuff like that. And I mean, he went ham. He went in on it. So as a kind of thingy statement, I can't remember what it's called anymore. In terms of the effort and the martial arts and stuff, I've always liked how he does his films and the fights. I grew up seeing his films and or a lot of his films and the kind of martial arts fights and the quality of his choreography, which is top class. And I did meet someone that worked with him as well, this other director. But anyway, point is, from that standpoint, I've always liked the stuff. The reason I gave it a 4 is because certain things, which I'll talk more in detail later, just really annoyed me. So I didn't actually want to like finish watching the film halfway through. I wanted to stop it.
Oh man.
Wow.
But that's more of a personal thing,
Right.
which I can explain more later. So it's just more of a personal thing.
I do think there are some bits of it that are like, I don't know, looking at it now, it's kind of dated, but I think it gets away with it in a way. So the example that I'm thinking of is the plane scene.
Yeah.
It's like,
That was
I mean,
what-
it was
that was-
made in 1988, right? It
Well,
that was the
made,
bit
yeah.
that immediately came to mind.
Yeah,
but
that was the
I
bit
mean,
that got
that was
me.
made before Summer fucking Bored, you know. So what do you want? Like,
yeah, no. I mean, it's like I say, like I think it gets away with it, but like it's, I don't know. You kind of watching it, and it's like it is funny because of like all of the beats and like the way that like everything escalates. Like it still works as like comedy, but like there is a little bit in my head that's like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing at what he's joking about. But then it's like, but he's not joking about that. The joke's on him. The joke, it's not. Yeah, so I think it skirts very close to not being good, but like it just about misses it, I think.
Yeah, I was a bit like, what the fuck? He's got this whole thing where he's kind of like, you're like, oh, that's quite funny because he's doing this, and then he says that, and I'm just like, that's really odd.
yeah, it's a bit, yeah. There's so I agree
I
that
think-
part is a bit fucked up, but
It was
it's like,
it was a bit that made me go, oh, and then I went, no, I don't know. That he's having a. It's not like Tokyo Gore Police or anything.
Well,
Where he's
I
laughing
would-
at people
I like-
self-harming.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing where you say that because again, it's a product of its time. Because
Yeah.
again, 80s, right? So it's like certain things weren't taken as serious during that particular time, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of fucked up now. It's extremely fucked up now, actually.
Also,
But,
Yeah.
it is like, you know, I don't want to make myself look like a bit of a fucking demon.
You're a
Yeah.
demon.
Thank you.
According to
Man who looks like Broom. But like it is also kind of like a valid question for a policeman to ask. Like, why didn't you report this earlier? Like that is something you probably would have to ask. Like, to be completely fair, like, you know, it is something I think you can go. There's a lot of reasons, but like I do think it is something he does have to ask. So like
I think the thing for me is like the reason I think it gets away with it is because like you're not laughing at what's happened to her. Like you're laughing because he's kind of going like, "What do you mean you've lost a cow? Would you? Oh shit, that one's serious. I've got to write that down." Like that's what
Yeah.
the joke is.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's not on
yeah,
her,
yeah.
I think that's the
yeah. So that's why I'm not like. That's why I didn't sort of go like, "Oh God, this is awful now." Like it's more just like, it's getting a bit close to.
it's close to the knuckle. It's not breaking the knuckle.
Yeah.
The thing is, back in like the 70s and 80s, it was a massive trope. If you wanted to make a really bad guy, you would have that subject, like the characters would be subjected to that type of thing. So in this kind of context, the way he kind of just goes like, he kind of not dismisses it, but it's quite a horrible subject. But he's kind of like, it's used as a comedy hook.
It's a
But then
character thing. Like he's
Yeah.
very self-centered. He's trying to keep his lady on the phone, but he's also trying to juggle these multiple things, and one's
Yeah, I
quite
mean-
serious and one's quite
I
not.
think
And
now it's like now in our modern time, you could see it as quite a really bad kind of joke that people would get really offended by. But this was the 80s, and a lot of films in the 80s kind of, as I said, use that trope as a plot point. So it's kind of, I think it gets away with it because he's the scene. But yeah, it kind of, if you made a film now and that happened, everyone would be like, why is this person this, and then you'd get in trouble for it. But yeah, because it's like it's supposed to be kind of a comedy film, because I thought it was going to be quite serious at the start, and then there's certain bits that I'm like, okay, this is the Jackie Chan film.
and that's the kind of thing. Like it
actually,
is
no,
in places, but like it isn't entirely. Simon, do you want to do your personal statement? I can just tell you're very excited.
Oh no! Sorry, I did my first statement. I just had to go on a tangent. That it needs that the police story, this original version, needed that comedy, because when he did his version of the remake, New Police Story,
Oh,
it
fucking
was
hell.
like it
What a
was.
piece of shit.
Yeah, I watched that, and because like you watch the new Police Story, and you're like, why does it lack a soul? Why does it lack heart? All right, this is no comedy. It's just dark and depressing.
Yeah.
It's a police. It's a cop story, and it's like a cop story about revenge. So it's like, oh, is it trying to be Die Hard? But Die Hard had comedy bits in it still. But it's like, it just lacks so much. It just lacked like that part of slice of comedy that made it a bad film. Without that comedy,
Yeah.
it was New Police Story. It was just crap, absolute crap.
Yeah. I also feel
Emmanuel,
I
What?
Huh?
Where are you? What are you doing? You seem to be in
I'm
a
moving
house
furniture.
or a club
It-
or
He's-
out
he's
in the
moving-
street. What's
he's
I'm
happening?
moving furniture and sorting stuff with family.
You're such a
Independent.
fucking cool guy. You're the best fucking film club member.
And
It's the most
MVP.
interesting.
John had a
I was-
headache. He didn't show up. You-
You gave Pat
was-
the ump and he didn't show up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right.
Oh man.
How you
I was
get-
just gonna say, I think I understand, like, or at least bits and pieces, like, part of why this is Jackie Chan's favorite film that he's made. Like, out of all the films he's made, this one is his most, like, his favorite, his most fond.
Mm.
Probably because he's
Yeah,
traumatized from going down the pole.
I think from like a pure action point of view, I can't think of many films that I'd say is better than this.
I'm so impressed. Go on, sir.
I would say that one of this film is definitely one of Jackie Chan's like more favorite films, but his favorite film is definitely the one that he did with Bruce Lee, where he was an extra for it. This is one of the. Oh yeah, did you not know that Jackie Chan was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dragon? This is
I,
one.
I,
Yeah,
re-
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
This was an interview that he had, because like Jackie Chan was like one of those like goons that was supposed to like fight Bruce Lee, and essentially Bruce Lee hits him in the head with like a wooden pole, but he hits him a bit too hard. But because Jackie Chan, he had to act it out. Yeah, so when the director went cut, and Bruce Lee's like, oh my god, okay. And it's like rubbing his head, he's like holding up Jackie Chan. And like Jackie Chan is like he's a strong enough dude, right? So he's fine. But essentially he was being like caressed and held by Bruce Lee, and it's like, oh no, my head. And it's like, I mean, how many times can you say you've been caressed and held up by Bruce Lee? You can't really, can you? So it's like, oh no, my head, oh yeah. It's like so that's definitely Jackie Chan's his favorite moments, I guess. It's like even his own film. It's the Bruce Lee film.
I do just want to say though, I have seen one Bruce Lee movie and I've seen one Jackie Chan movie, and Jackie Chan fucking came out on top like so fucking hard. I don't
Which
even.
Bruce Lee
Oh,
movie
it's
did you watch?
I watched Game of Death, which was fucking dog
Like-
shit.
yeah. You chose not like what you chose one of the not great ones, I guess.
I didn't choose nothing. I got that as a tribute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, I chose that.
Oh, right. Why?
Fucking
so
horrendous.
There's so many better
Tell you
choices.
what, I didn't pick it so much because it was a good film. I picked it because we went through a phase of doing like tributes to actors or directors or writers who died, and I thought it'd be nice to do a Bruce Lee tribute with Game of Death because he died during filming. And then yeah, it didn't. Nobody found it as interesting as I did.
Yeah.
Not even me. Also, just a little bit of tangential trivia, I guess. Jackie Chan has a you can find this on the internet. Jackie
I have
Chan
sources.
Jackie Chan has a holiday home in Australia, which just so happened to be right next to the Ebbs Youth Club, like for church and stuff. And they had the keys to Jackie Chan's holiday house. So Ebb has actually fucking hung out and drank Jackie Chan's booze on Jackie Chan's helipad and fucking sat on Jackie Chan's bed.
Nice.
And I was saying to Rob, I can't imagine Jackie Chan just coming home and not just reacting with anything other than, oh, those dang kids.
No,
Okay. Well, I
do
mean,
the
like,
meme.
yeah, oh yeah, they do the meme. Yeah, but
Russell
like,
was just so good natured about it. Like,
what I want to say though is like, because like Jackie Chan has kids of his own, so I think he might understand. And Jackie Chan, like, really just his kids are really fucked up anyways. Like, Jesus Christ, like, okay, no, because like Jackie Chan's son tried to do acting, right? Because he was in like a remake of like not Disney's version of Mulan, but a remake of Mulan, and it was very shit anyways. Then afterwards he got into trouble.
But did it have the concentration camp in the background like Disney's Mulan did?
No.
Oh, that's good. That's better.
But then, yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? But like that in itself doesn't really make sense. But anyway, I digress. Then afterwards, his daughter is also not a good person anyway. And like both of his kids are like little spoiled brats, essentially, is what you're breaking. And Jackie Chan's like, you guys aren't in the wheel, right? and they were like, wait, what?
What?
Yeah, because essentially Jackie Chan says if they were capable kids, they would be able to make their own money and they wouldn't need my money. Essentially, they'll be just wasting my money. So instead, I'm just going to give most of it to my wife, who is essentially a martial arts actress anyway, and she can do all of it. And I'm essentially giving the rest of it away to like the Beijing martial arts school, like other charities. Essentially, the kids aren't really getting anything. And it's because like he thinks that his kids are a bit like he thinks his kids are little bits of shit as well, you know. So it's like, oh, okay, that's nice of you, I guess. But like, I guess I kind of could see that point. Maybe not really, but like maybe. I don't know.
Fair enough. Anyway, I thought this. I thought the story was really fucking tight. Big fan. Love the action scenes. I I know this is kind of a sore spot. I don't want to open old wounds or anything. But someone mentioned about the plot being formulaic. I can't help but disagree. I thought it was I thought there were a couple of things that made it not formulaic at all. Certain aspects being the villain who is apprehended at the beginning is also the main villain of the story. I thought that was a departure from the formula. Like you usually have your cop character apprehend someone in the beginning to show how competent they are, and then you have them fight a main villain later. You don't generally have the main cop character having a girlfriend who like is still his girlfriend at the end of the story. You would usually have him fucking her off for like the sexy hot witness who he's like protecting and stuff. God, I sound so fucking French with the older. There was another one. I had. You also wouldn't. You'd have him getting like redeemed at the end. Generally, I think if you're going by formula, he does not redeem himself at the end. He gets fucking pissed off and punches the fuck out of the guy. I think that's a. I think that's a departure. Yeah, I think these are all kind of aspects of the story which kind of set this apart from like your formulaic cop story. I think this is really fucking cool. I I like all these story choices, and I think they kind of flesh. Let's just call him Jackie Chan, I guess. It really fleshes Jackie Chan's character out really well. Kui, is that his name? Kui, help me out.
I think it's like
someone fucking help me.
I think it's like Kui. I think it's like how you would. It's like KA-KUI.
Oh, I didn't realize I was weird. Jackie Chan is his name. Is this Clockwork Orange or something? I don't know.
Simon, I appreciate you signing on if you've got a party happening.
A load of French people.
Rob's got his hand up.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add to that really. Sort of what you're saying about the choice of the initial villain being the same villain the whole way through, because I think that adds a lot to kind of like the arc that Kui goes through. Because one thing that I think is really well crafted about it is that he starts off as this guy who's like you're kind of watching the opening sequence like, fuck, this is a guy who you don't want to be chased by, because he's just got like this relentless drive to fulfill his duty. And then you go on like a journey with him where he's bagged the bad guy and he's done his bit and he's getting the sort of recognition for it. But then the system lets him down and it lets him go. So you go through this big thing where like the credibility of the police rises and falls with him. And I just think that's so well crafted. And I think it's quite easy to miss that and sort of like I did before, sort of like write it off as just like your typical sort of action trope narrative. But yeah, I think it's a lot more than that because of that.
Like I do love the scene where he walks in with a woman and then he goes, "Surprise! It's your birthday!" and she's fucking got a cake and just throws in his face, and he's like, "But she's." Oh, that's fucking great. I just love that kind of. Yeah, that's such a good thing.
I think it's one of those that would really easily turn into just I need to manufacture cheap drama. So my girlfriend hates me now and she's broken up with me and now I've just got you. And it's like, no, the girlfriend keeps coming back. And she's like an active fucking presence in the plot and stuff. And it's like,
I don't understand why, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Don't understand why.
I mean, it's Jackie Chan, so that's why. But like, actually, I need to go back for one point that Rob was saying. When you're saying something about the what were you saying? Something about the way that the police force lets them down, and like that's actually a point that I realized the translations are a bit weird again.
Oh, really?
For the fact, because because like this is going into a bit of history now, because it's a Hong Kong film, right? But Hong Kong during that time was run by the UK, right? Yeah. So essentially, he makes not just one or two, right? He makes quite a few comments about, our boss, the white people, right? Essentially, and it's like, oh, yeah, that doesn't translate well if you translate that to English. It sounds really racist, but it sounds really offensive. But then again, it was kind of racist and offensive. So it's like, it's a
well, I don't know.
It's a bit of a grab bag, right? Yeah, so it's like, it's like there's lots of there's a few cultural comments and cultural jokes that are again a bit missing in the translations. But so it's like if I watched this with you guys, I feel like I would have to explain the story a bit more, and I feel like you guys probably give it like a slightly better score because you go, oh, that's what he fucking meant. But I
just love the idea of us all sitting there watching it, and like we're watching these kind of like censored subtitles, and Simon's just in the corner like, oh man.
No, I mean you watch like 5 minutes, then you go pause. I was like, oh right, yeah, he did this. Oh right, okay.
I feel like you'd like abuse that though. Like we'd all just be sitting there and you'd be like, Jackie Chan just outed himself as Hitler, and we'd be like, hang on, are you fucking sure? I don't know. I know he was smiling.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I pick a Jackie Chan movie from Hong Kong, we can do this. And actually, the next one I'm thinking of picking is a Sammo Hung film.
Oh, that's wait. With him, the main character, I've got to think about which ones that could be. Because I keep thinking of his damn fucking TV series. I'm thinking of martial law now. Jesus Christ. First Brooklyn Nine-Nine, then martial law. Both are technically good TV series, no matter who says, right? But it's like, you know, they're good. They're good. It's some good TV. It's entertaining, right? Anyway, so what was your favorite scene, Rob?
Do you know what? Like, it's another one where I could probably just like throw a dart at a map and like make a case for any scene. I think like it's a toss up. Like, so one that I love is just the bus chase where he's like hanging off the side with a fucking umbrella. Because that's like, because I always remember that as the first point in the film when I first watched it, where I went like, this is something serious. There's something behind it.
That's peak Jackie Chan, to be honest, right? It's the perfect blend of comedy and action. So that's actually my favorite scene as well, because the music is so iconic, and him chasing them down the fucking like off the cliff. I was like, it's got, because essentially it's because that scene is so iconic. Everyone, when they do like spoops or like comedy fun things of that movie, that they always use that scene, because like there's like, I can't remember, like another film where they make a spoof of it, where he's getting chased down the film and he's like, oh, he points the gun down the road and he's like, wait, where's the bus? He turns around and he gets hit by the bus. And it's just like things like that. It's just like, and so it's like that's like that, because they make fun of that scene because it's so iconic. It's so good. It's so iconic. That scene is.
Well, it's something that like I've kind of, as someone who's like kind of an outsider to Jackie Chan content, like I've kind of heard that this is like a staple. Like he kind of takes like a everyday object and he like makes it work to his advantage. I think it was when we were talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 fucking plot conveniences. But just just shit like that, like where he's just making use of everyday objects, and I was like, this is I knew I was watching like a quintessential Jackie Chan film without knowing what that meant necessarily, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. And he does it again at the end with the clothes rail. Like, that's another brilliant use of an everyday object. Yeah,
he does that a lot. Like the whole. Well, first, the fact that another crazy thing, just him trying like lots of different ideas. The fact that he tried it with a wooden umbrella first before he used the umbrella. I was just like, you actually tried a wooden too. Like, you didn't think this all through, did you? You just had a great idea and didn't. But that's what he usually did. And it's like, the whole scene's like in other movies. One is, I think, many famous scenes, but one of the scenes in later movies where he uses a ladder, but he does a whole fight sequence with a ladder.
I think that one might be the Who Am I? I'm not sure. Because
you might be right.
Like a ski suit or something.
Yeah.
Because I remember he spins it round and then he kind of jumps through the thing, and there's an outtake in it where he basically goes through and he smacks his face on the run of the ladder as he goes through.
Exactly. And also, inspired by him, like it kind of inspired me in a way, because I was like training with bow staff at one point growing up, and I was thinking at one point, I was just like, wait a second, that's a broom, or you have a mop. literally like I swear he does this in one of the films, just take off the head and you've got a bow staff. I don't need to keep a weapon. I just keep a mop or a broom. I could not out of anyone.
If you've got a Humphrey handy nearby, you just yeah. You got yourself a bow staff right there.
I can't believe that the guy who just said, as long as I've got a mop or a broom, I've got a weapon, has rated this 4 for enjoyment.
Yeah, why
I have reasons.
why did you hate this so fucking much?
I didn't hate it.
Still scored Impact a 10.
Because it was very impactful. I mean, the impact it had for his career, for Hong Kong, cinema in Hong Kong, and martial arts films in general, and like the body set, and like there was just a lot of this is a huge impact, like for him and martial arts cinema and Hong Kong cinema in general, I think. But why I didn't want to finish it, or why I was kind of didn't want to finish watching it. So I was talking with Camilla about this, and she helped me explain it in a way. So there are certain things he'll say that in films I might be more triggered by or more annoyed by, and I even though I know in my head, oh, that's of the time, that makes sense of blah blah blah, I can't get past it. It just really frustrates me. Really annoys me.
If you are about to say this needs more Andy Samberg, I'm gonna fucking come over there.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
999, yeah. Okay.
I don't know any of the names.
I was gonna make the jokes, but like, okay, never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It's a similar thing to how any kind of scene with like a emotional moving scene with a father and daughter will really move me and make me cry because of that experience of being a parent and having like similar moments with my like the kid in the past. And like there's certain experiences, whether it be trauma or whatever kind of things, that just give me like, oh, I don't want to watch this. It's really annoying. And there's certain parts, again, I think it's all of time, so I'm not cussing it or the script or whatnot. But there were certain things that you've already mentioned that he was saying about his girlfriend, like before he knew she was there. And then the way sometimes they would treat some as female characters or use them as in certain ways.
Oh, I see what you're trying to get up
all
to
of
now.
the time, but it really annoyed me. And there's different, long story short, even like, let's say this wasn't what really made me want to stop watching it. Like I wanted to stop watching before this, I think, but we talked about the rape scene. So I've had like personal connections with someone who went through a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not saying I thought it was fine in the film, especially at the time. Just me personally, there was just so many little things like that where I was just like, no, or known people have been in a situation where someone said something like that, but they didn't mean it in a joke. It was very serious and it just hit too close to home. So I was just like, like I have nothing against the film, but I just really don't want to keep watching. It's just really annoying me. And I think after that, because of that, there were like lots of like decisions or cheesy moments of the characters that I then didn't like or wasn't laughing at because I was already just annoyed. So yeah, I didn't have a great time in all the films, but the fight scenes I did really like. Again, choreography was amazing, and his stunt work.
I think I can break it down for you, Emmanuel. Essentially, you're upset with the way that they treated most of the females, not just like as characters, but in the whole sense of the act in the movie, how they were treated throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Everything else was fine except for that particular treatment to the females and that particular issue with the phone, right? But every time, like he treated his girlfriend and the witness, it's a bit too scumbaggy or sleazy, is what you want to say.
Yeah, and I know it's not meant to be. But
Okay.
It's on that border of this is comedy. This is this guy. He's very flawed, and it all makes sense. But yeah, like you said, Simon, it just, yeah, I just personally was really not liking that.
No,
See,
That-
I can definitely understand that. I'm obviously I'm gonna since Rob's already likened Jackie Chan to me, I'm feeling a bit defensive about this. Like I do think those scenes where he's like he's kind of bad mouthing his girlfriend while not realizing she's like in the room. Like,
yeah.
that's all kind of him like projecting things he doesn't necessarily mean. I do actually have a screenshot which is emblematic of something where he's being particularly me-esque.
Oh, is it because he's portraying his toxic masculinity? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'd rather that not be likened to me, but that's fine. But like, yes,
I'm not saying. That's not what I'm trying to say, right? Don't worry, I'm not trying to say that. But it's like
But-
I understand the points of like that period of time for actors and stuff would make about women and about those issues and that stuff. So it makes that I can understand that nowadays it's an up thing because you go, yeah, it's not really a thing that you talk about.
I think the screenshot's emblematic of that because he's said to Selena, when did my girlfriend come in? And she says, when you said she should hang herself 3 times. And
Yeah,
I can see why someone would have a
yeah.
I can see why someone would have a
that's-
problem with that kind of humor.
Really?
But that is something that someone's just say really.
Yeah, Dan. What do you
Did
mean
you
by that,
watch
Dan?
the film?
Explain yourself.
Did you watch the film, Dan?
Really? I don't know why anyone would be upset with that.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, Dan,
Yeah,
what was your
but that-
favorite scene?
That I think is like a projection thing, and that's something that you could misread that if you're taking that completely literally and going like, oh wow, he's being a fucking dick.
Well, I mean, he was.
But like,
being funny, right?
I don't think people were necessarily. I don't think Emmanuel's necessarily looking at that and going, "Oh wow, Jackie Chan's character thinks like his girlfriend should hang herself."
Yeah,
But
I don't think that. Yeah.
I can see why him saying that is off-putting.
Mm.
But like, I do think it's something that he's projecting to kind of make a point rather than something he actually thinks, and like
Yeah.
that is like an important distinction to
Yeah, I mean,
make. I feel.
I think if it's something that if it's something that kind of like is a trigger for you, as you said, then yeah, I completely understand why those kind of things would sort of spoil the experience. But I think the reason that it doesn't for me, or the reason I think the film kind of gets away with it, is because I don't think that the joke is ever. The joke's never like, oh, this woman's stupid or this woman deserves to be treated badly or anything like that. I think the joke is always, look how much of an idiot Cartby is.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
he
Yeah.
always seems like the figure of fun, and
Yeah.
I think that's why Selena and Jackie Chan's girlfriend are usually the ones like kind of giving each other significant glances and going like,
Yeah, it's like, what an asshole!
fucking
Why-
idiot.
Oh, see the bit where he falls off the fucking motorbike. He grabs her.
Oh
back.
yeah,
And actually saying that.
but
there's
okay,
a-
but
so
that
the
yeah, but that seems funny, right? Because like that's like he tries to do like he's trying to do. Oh no, don't go! Like just grabs a bit too hard and she fucking flat.
the
Amazing.
very end of the film, you see the outtake of it, and he fucking looks at the camera like, "Oh fuck!" Like he didn't even intend to do it as hard, like to go the way it did, and he's just like, "Oh shit." Yeah, that bit is just like what.
But that bit in the script, like that's just very fucking characterful there. Like he's trying to stop her from leaving so he can like explain himself, and then it just turns into this horrible misunderstanding.
Yeah, where he
And-
fucks up again.
Yeah, and it's like it's not anything. He obviously he clearly does not like actively wish harm on her, but like he does get into like these very emotional like fucking bursts where he would just say very dramatic things, and like I can absolutely see why you'd find why someone would find that off-putting. I suppose, but being that guy, I can kind of go like, yeah, I'm Jackie Chan.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's why he's such an interesting character. In the way I saw it as in the film, he's like as a policeman and a cop. He's badass. He's the way he takes the bad guys out is so impressive, and his like martial arts is just impeccable. But when it comes to like relationships and relations with other people, he kind of falls flat on, and that I found was really interesting because like even from that scene where he brings the woman back and his girlfriend overhears the phone call, right up until the recording of the phone call comes up in the courtroom, it just like he's just a man just doing so many mistakes and he doesn't know how to control himself or how to deal with it, but he can do martial arts and he knows how to like do those things. But even at the end of the film, he's still completely confounded and kind of like defeated by like how everything has turned out, and he just goes off on one and just gets his anger out on the bad guys just because it's like, I can't do anything right. Nothing I can do seems to be helping in any case or any way, and I'm just gonna have to like, I know it's wrong, but I'm just gonna beat the shit out of this guy because I need to get my anger out. And you just kind of like feel for him in that respect because he does he tries to do his best, but ultimately it doesn't go right.
I do think this is what separates a Jackie Chan film from a Tommy Wiseau film, because like Jackie Chan's very aware of like what he's doing, and he's like, I'm gonna do a martial arts film, but like not the story acknowledges him as like a good cop, but like it goes out of its way to make him like continually make him like a figure of fun, and to take just kind of have him on the back foot like just generally. And I think that's like an important thing when you're making a story where you're the writer, director, main star and all that shit, like just makes him a bit more like fucking relatable, you know, where like you are just laughing at yourself, and it's like Jackie Chan comes off like so much better than Tommy Wiseau does, because like I think Tommy Wiseau was kind of trying to position himself as like a fucking sex god who was amazing.
Oh god,
Yeah,
no.
he thought he was in his mind, but he still does.
Whereas Jackie Chan was positioning himself as someone who can handle himself in a fight, but who's a fucking idiot.
The difference with The Room and this film is the fact that The Room, you can tell the whole film is about that person because everyone talks to him like he's the only person that exists. Whereas this film, he's actually a character in a film. And there's other people that make that, like the the inspector and the chief, like they're the two old bumpy men from the Muppets. They work so well together, like especially at the end of the film when they're saying, "Oh, we've got to write a report," and they're like, "We've got to write it together." It's like we understand this is a shit situation and we need to sort this out. They're very much.
I just imagine them just like reeling off all this fucking Chinese and then going, wonderful.
Well, I mean, that's why I was going to make it like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference again. It's like he's Captain Holt
God.
and he's Terry Crews. And it's like, yeah, you can, yeah, I see Emmanuel giving me the laughing emoji. Yeah, it makes it so good when it blends together. Yeah, and he does, but Jackie Chan's character did one of the best things at the end of the film that anyone can do. He beat up a lawyer. Well, that's freaking and that's like some sort of like beautiful irony. I don't know how to explain that. He beat up a lawyer, and it's just like, yeah.
Amber Heard will make a remake.
I thought you'd like the courtroom bit, Dan, because of the I object.
Oh yeah, there's objection. But
yeah, no,
fucking, that was so frustrating when the bloke's like, "Oh, but it couldn't have been on. It could have been a different bus," and then he goes like, "Yeah, you have never waited for a bus for half an hour." Right, just when he was talking about like we couldn't have been on this, and he could have been a completely different person. He's like, "I'm like, you're talking shit." There's like that lawyer at the end when he got punched. I was like, "Yeah, he deserved it," because in that courtroom scene, I'm like, how would you not know the fucking bad guy was when you're a fucking police on the case and you know you're going there to arrest this person? How would you not like go, oh yeah, he's just a randomer on a bus?
I mean, that's the way that like a defense attorney for like a crime boss would be like, no?
I think that's like that's a big part of the strength in this film, because like Carl Queer as a character is just like he's deceptively complex, and like the reason that I said that he reminded me of Alec was that like he's very good at what he does, and like in terms of being a policeman, like he knows his shit and he's got it. But if you inconvenience him in any way, he's going to say or do something that's going to ruin everything. and then by trying to make it better, he's going to make it worse. And I think that character in this situation is just perfect, because he is a master of his job. And then he gets to that point where like the veil slips a bit and he realizes that the system that he's a part of isn't actually all it's cracked up to be. And like that feeding into the end where he just like goes on the lawyer, and like it's just such a perfect narrative for that character.
Yeah.
I do just have that in my head now, just to me going like, oh, just trying to tell that poor waitress that about the stream, and it's like, I'm gonna make this better, and it's like, no, you've made this horribly worse.
Oh, that fucking like, oh.
Yes, you're only the second person to show their ass on this stream.
He did it better. No,
not you. Yours was definitely funnier and less awkward.
I also wanted to say as well, actually.
What was your favorite?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, because Alec mentioned about how Jackie Chan comes across as relatable, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, just because I think the reason that I love Jackie Chan so much is just because, like, well, actually, Sammo Hung's got it a little bit as well, but he's got kind of like a style that you don't see too much. So if you look at like the other massive names in martial arts movies, like sort of Bruce Lee or Jet Li or Donnie Yen, like they're always in control and they're always kicking ass, and like they're kind of like their thing is to sort of kind of like control the fight and then do like a sort of like come on kind of thing. Whereas like Jackie Chan, he's just like he's always blocking and he's always in pain, and it's just like it's such like an everyman approach to it. So like even though he's like obviously a very good fighter, he's always on the back foot, and I think that just like it draws you in a way that like someone like Bruce Lee can't. I think
that's what makes him so endearing, because I'm always just, I don't know, like I find that these fights are constructed in a way where like he has to be really fucking good to get out of them. And when he is doing these stunts, like my understanding of him constantly being on the back foot and being so relatable, that's what makes them like so effective. Like it, him throwing himself down a pole and stuff. Like the fact is him doing it, and the fact that he's not winning every fight and he's not breezing through everybody like fucking easily. Him actually jumping off things and stuff that makes it all the more remarkable. And like, yeah, I've just, as my first Jackie Chan film, just fucking ton of respect for the guy. Like,
Man, first. That's a good first though.
Oh, right,
What?
you got a good first. That was a good first choice film. You could have chosen something like The Myth, and like it
Myth.
would have been like, Myth was like, it wasn't one of his greater films, but like,
well,
what was
my
your favorite
next
scene in this?
my only exposure to him before has been like Jackie Chan Adventures and Kung Fu
Oh.
Panda.
I think.
Nice.
So this was a very good. But I can tell you're eager to hear the favorite scene of one Daniel Humphrey. So you carry on.
Oh, you're Humphrey.
You're
Okay, either one.
I am
So
Humphrey.
Dan, what?
I know.
No. No, okay, so Daniel, what was your favorite scene?
Oh
There
no!
was-
Don't say Daniel.
Daniel.
Multiple things. I don't. It's got to be.
Damn, Daniel.
I don't know. It's got to be either the start with the cars
Or the ending.
or
Because
Only when he's like running the cars through in that like little.
I'm sure if my
Scotland,
knowledge
right?
is correct, they actually built that town to destroy.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh,
I've
actually,
seen
sorry. Let me because that. It's funny because like they built that town, but they had to make an excuse of why that town exists. Then I realized, oh right, because the town exists because essentially those people are squatters and like hobos, and essentially they based on real things. These are like people who just build a village on the side of a mountain, and the government will tell them to move on, but they're like, no, squatting right to stay here, and so it's like, oh wow, that actually makes perfect sense somehow. It's just amazing how it kind of blends in together. Sorry.
your
Dan,
internet has
what was
like
you saying?
Pat level comedic timing. It's brilliant. It's like people who are living there are just like squatters.
I mean, hopefully you can edit that out.
Yeah. It's all coming through. It's just like with like comedic pauses, and it's just kind of the police tell them to move out, and they're like, squatters' rights. It's very good. Sorry, Hump, carry on.
Yeah. So yeah. Also like the whole the mall scene, like the whole thing. You understand why Jackie Chan fights them in the end, like punches the lawyer and beats up the bad guy, because he's gone through all that shit of being thrown through glass. He's jumped down escalators. He's done all this shit, and you think, how the fuck is this man still alive? But yeah, it's just great. It's all great. It's all fucking ridiculous and real, which is the crazy thing about it. A lot of it, they'd pad, so they'd have padding, so they'd take the hit, but it won't be as hard, or they just did it bareback, full on. It's just nuts. Got to be dedicated. You got to be dedicated.
This thing is like it's so ridiculous in the way where you go, fucking hell, I can't imagine doing this. But like, it's not in a way where you're going, fucking hell, this is so ridiculous, this could not exist in reality.
Also, the fact, like with Jackie Chan, when he just climbed up a wall, he looks like a cat. He just literally just goes, and I'm like, I wish I could do that kind of shit. Where he just climb, he goes, okay, I'm gonna climb up that mountain, and he just makes it look effortless. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Man's crazy.
Emmanuel or Rob? Who wants to go first?
Emmanuel was first.
Emmanuel, you go ahead.
All right, thanks. linking to something you were saying, Dan, I can't remember which part, but another thing that made me laugh was how when they fell, some of the bad guys fell out of the glass of the front of the bus. I was laughing how that's like obviously, not obviously, but they were meant to make the car, like, because
yeah.
I'm just like, why does that look so weird or jank? Basically, it's just something right about that. It's just like, yeah, they weren't meant to fall out like that.
It's because like it's because when the bus breaks, like they didn't have enough money to rehearse it, so they didn't know what was going to happen. So the bus breaks, and then there's like an air brake which throws it back. So they jumped trying to get to the car, and then the bus sort of jolted back, and so they ended up short for it. But because they couldn't do it again, like you can see Jackie Chan just stood there like, oh fucking hell, what do I do? Because that's the only take that they're ever going to be able to do.
Wait, Rob, that's not correct. That's not quite correct, because in the bloopers, Jackie Chan had there was that scene, but Jackie Chan went, oh shit.
Yeah, but they didn't jump out.
Yeah, it's because they couldn't do it again because they broke the glass at the top, so they couldn't shoot it again after that one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene is probably I think pretty much the whole kind of fight sequence or choreography in the mall part, where there was one part in particular I liked the most in that whole kind of choreography, where he's using everyday objects, but there was a part where he was also on the floor kicking the two people, getting up and doing all sorts of stuff. But I think that whole scene was really great. I know there's so many choreography scenes where he goes so hard and he is so tired, and I'm just like, man, this guy's even crazy. But yeah, that would be my favorite scene.
When there's two bits in the mall scene which I just love. Like one of them is what I mentioned earlier, where he's using the clothes rail as kind of like a suit of armor kind of thing. And it's just like firstly, it's just so inventive, and it's just such a cool visual. And yeah, I just think it looks great. But the other bit that I always remember that I think is great is that it's like I was saying before. So like this is so different to your average American action film because you've got like all of these long shots and you can actually see and digest what's going on. And you've had kind of like 10 minutes of that. So like you're almost as exhausted as he would be, like actually doing this. And you're just sat there like, fucking hell, this scene is still going. And as you're thinking it's got to be coming to an end soon, you just hear, and then a motorbike comes out of nowhere. And it's just like, what the fuck? We've been here for 10 minutes and only now you're introducing a fucking motorbike.
That's so true.
I was so impressed with that final fight scene as well, because I was like, man, you got to fucking work to distinguish yourself from like these other two that's happened already. Like, what are you gonna do? And then, yeah, like you say, the motorbike comes out, and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is fucking great. Like, awesome. I'm free. What you got?
I missed a bit. I was gonna say about the the bit where she jumps off the roof into the swimming pool. It's only when you see the outtake at the end you're like, fuck, they actually did that. And you see the angle of where she jumps from, and it's not even like a tight angle. It's quite a distance, so you've got to jump far enough to land in it, and there's no fucking, it's, I don't know, 20 foot, 30 foot up. Fuck, it's just, yeah.
Can I just say, Selena's actor is like so fucking cool. Like, I think it's really, really nice that she is in a Jackie Chan movie and isn't playing a character who knows like kung fu or anything, but like she's still defending herself, and like she's not just a completely fucking useless person. Like she's still active in the fight scenes, despite the fact she's not like a fucking master, like kung fu expert. Really, really appreciated her in this.
Oh, I was gonna say this because like the actress, like Jackie Chan did, most of her own stunts essentially. You know, with the when she gets like flipped into like the glass, or like when she gets like punched in like instantly a mall scene where she tries to fight off like the two guys. She did pretty much all the stunts herself, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a credit to her as an actress because like that shit's hard, you know. So it's like if she's willing to go through all that stuff to make the scene more better, then yeah, that's props to her, you know.
Yeah, I think it's great that she did her own stuff as well. Like it's just, it's just another thing where it just still feels like so much more real because of it, even though she only does a couple of things.
Who else have we had? Emmanuel's favorite scene? Was that? Yes. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I guess the point is apart from like just the general, what was I gonna say? The martial arts of it was pretty solid, right? But didn't really seem graceful because again, those scenes were not supposed to be graceful, right? And it's a bit more like human characteristics of the Jackie Chan's character. He seemed to be a bit more normal, or not as he was saying that it wasn't like put on the pedestal with the other martial artists with like the super cool Donnie Yen, Jet Li's, and all that stuff. But I feel like it could have been. I don't know. I feel like there's certain scenes that are a bit more haphazard, I guess, because of the things that happened there with the environment. You know, when he goes to save Selena and like she's like all like tied up and stuff, right? And like essentially were they throwing like kicking chairs at him, right? Or something. Can't remember. I feel like that was a bit, I guess you could do that, but it feels like it felt very impractical. Even though it looked kind of nice, it was very impractical in the scene, right?
Maybe a little bit, but I don't know. I think
It's a projectile, isn't it? It's a pretty wonky fucking projectile as well. Like...
yeah, but they have guns. Now, if you want to talk projectiles, they have guns. You know, there's whole. It's like
what about if they had like a chair gun?
Having a firearm, yeah, chair gun. Like because like firearms again very hard to acquire in all of Asia, to be honest, unless you are a police officer or something. So it's like that scene where they all have like that gunfight. It was like, oh wow, that's very rare in itself, and it's like, oh, cool. That's kind of how all that happens. But like, they're still gangsters. They should still have a few more guns. They could have shot Jackie Chan a few more times.
Important to note though, they're not trying to shoot Jackie Chan in the hotel scene. They are looking to frame Jackie Chan. So if he winds up being shot, then that damages their narrative of again, don't want to bring up the subject of spinning narratives. But yeah, they're trying to frame Jackie Chan in that scene. So like he kills Inspector Man. So like they're not, which is unfortunate actually calling him Inspector Man.
Well, yeah. Well, again, yeah, that's a bit weird. Inspector Man. Hey there, Inspector Man. No, sorry.
And this was another thing that I did actually want to bring up about this. Really appreciate the lengths they go to justify having like hand-to-hand stuff. Like I think a lot of other shows and films and that, like, they do not justify hand-to-hand at all, whereas with this sort of stuff it's like we're trying to frame Jackie Chan, we're going to beat the fuck out of him, and then we're going to make sure we use his gun to kill Inspector Man so it looks like he did it. the more bullets we have is like detrimental to that. So we're gonna like just go out of our way to fucking like beat the fuck out of him instead. Like I think it does like justify itself having hand-to-hand combat like really, really well.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's another one where you kind of look at it on face value and go, well, that's a bit wonky. But then when you actually think about why it's happening, it all checks out.
I guess that's true. But yeah, I guess it's for plot convenience. Well, is that right word phrase? Guess to say plot convenience, or is it just?
No, I wouldn't say plot convenience. I they have an aim in mind and they work toward it. They're trying to frame him because he's got so high profile. The more you frame him for doing something, the worse he looks. So yeah, you beat him up a bit. Not a lot you can really prove. Whereas you start bringing bullets and cartridges into things, like you're kind of leaving more of a evidence sort of trail. So yeah, I because this is something I actually did. I was going like, why don't they just fucking shoot him? Like, what's the fucking point of doing all this? But I was like, no, you do want him to look worse from this. So yeah, I can see why you're doing this. I wouldn't call this a plot convenience.
Yeah, because remember, if he's arrested that bloke and that bloke wants to get out of prison, if they show him as to be incompetent or bad at his job, then they'll go, okay, we were going to release him. Yeah, that makes sense. Because they're trying to get him out of prison without actually doing it like forcibly. It's kind of the bad guy way of doing it, where he's like, oh yeah, I'm corrupt and I've got corrupt people and they can help me, whereas this bloke's not corruptible, so they just want to kind of
make him look worse.
get rid of him like in an easy way instead of just shooting him, because then that makes it a worse situation. That makes sense.
Yeah,
if he dies by gangster, then yeah, he just solidifies him as more of a hero. Whereas if he if he's seen to have killed another cop, then he like that's his reputation like fucking destroyed. So
yeah, especially when
helps you out.
Like the courtroom scene where they show him to be incompetent because he plays the fucking tape. It's kind of it works quite well.
This is what kept happening with me. I kept going, oh fuck, what about this? And then I'd go, oh no, that. I mean, it's because of that. It's probably because of that actually. Oh well, maybe this is actually the reason why we do. Oh fuck, this is actually quite tight, isn't it?
Actually, there was one point. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say sorry. I wasn't trying to. Sorry, but it's like one point I realized because of the courtroom scene, he gets well, I wouldn't say he gets demoted, or he gets put into like a police office that's supposed to be in the boonies essentially, because like there's goats and like walking around and shitting on the floor and stuff, right? But I realized Hong Kong is too small to have the boonies. Essentially, it could be like on the outer edges of Hong Kong, but that's like still like half an hour drive, and you're back into the city. I was like, oh wait, that don't make sense to me, because essentially Hong Kong is such a big cityscape. There's not really a boonies to exist in the first place, so that was always a bit confusing for me. That's why he could always get to whatever happens so fast, because it's supposed to be like out far-reaching place, but it's like, oh wait, the out far-reaching place is a bus ride away. So it's like, it's a bit weird.
Have you been to Hong Kong?
Yes.
That was a defiant yes.
I do want to just assume things.
No.
I was really fucking thrown off by the dynamic of that.
No, it's because I was going to say I've been to Hong Kong very briefly.
What?
I've been there. Yeah.
I go there a lot. Wait, where'd you go to Hong Kong? What
So
part?
basically, what it was, I was going to Australia with my mum and nan, and we had like a stop off at Hong Kong, but there was a problem with the flight, so we had to go into Hong Kong and stay in a hotel. So I kind of saw it for like I don't know, a split second. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. Do you see people do martial arts?
Well, this was like 20 years ago, so
Yeah,
I
So-
don't
so
really
your answer
remember
should-
much.
So your
Martial
answer
arts
should be
didn't
yes.
exist in Hong Kong 20 years ago.
No, they didn't.
No, it should be just random people just filming shit and going, okay, now punch him in the face. Yeah, okay. And we'll use that for the film. Okay.
But see, the proximity to like a boonies, like again, makes sense to me entirely, and like it kind of explains why he's not too removed from the plot. Like they go like, okay, go out to like the outskirts of Hong Kong, and it's like, yeah,
It's only like half an hour away.
yeah.
I was just-
But he only has to drive half an hour back to
It's-
be back in the thick of it, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
so like we removed you from this, but like you can equally like come back to do the rest of the stuff, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that all makes sense to me. Like, I think this is a really good film.
Well, does because essentially it happened again where they kind of like because they chloroform him and because like they just shot Inspector Man and he's like trying to blame him and they take him up into some like faraway area, but again he just walks back to the fucking police station that he was in the center of Hong Kong, and it's like, did it really take you that long to walk back? Because like I feel like that's not exactly a super long walk from where you were, so it's like
I think he asks for the help. Actually, I think he walks to a bar and asks for help. I don't think he's just directly back at the police station.
wait, I thought that was later, right? When he was on the run, wasn't it?
I thought he woke up in some weird place and then he goes to like a pub and asks for help to get back. I thought.
I must be misremembering that scene then. God damn it.
Yeah.
See, it's
It's
called-
better. It's better than you think.
So Manuel, what did you say?
I was just backing Alec up saying he calls his girlfriend for help.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay, so I guess that's just him being competent and everyone else being incompetent. I guess he is a good police officer then, and this is a very good police story.
He's done a
Oh,
title
man.
card. He
I
just
wish that was-
Another one.
he just did a title
wish-
card.
I so wish that was the last quote of the night. that
I'd-
was
I'd-
perfect.
I'd really like for you to be like that'd be your gimmick, and you're just like, man, what a Snowpiercer that was. Just like, oh yeah, no, he did it.
He really was a fantastic Mr. Fox.
Those were really the best kinds of men in black. Just like, oh, good going. Love that.
Was a good police.
Will we ever learn your name? We won't know, but
We knew his name very well.
safe to say yes, actually. But yeah, this one, I think this one is gonna get sort of penalized for being like a comedy and stuff, and I think it is like a lot more. I think the craft in it is like better than you'd give it credit for, and like I think it is definitely like walking a line. It's not straight comedy. It's not straight martial arts. It's serious in places. It's funny in places, but like it's absolutely like just walking a line. It never feels like anything's forced or anything.
I guess that's how peak Jackie Chan is. Like, Who Am I is pretty much similar. They have serious parts, action parts, comedy parts, and like serious parts as well. So I guess like all of it blends together, but it blends together well. And I guess that's how it makes it a good like a whole complete sort of like film.
I saw a review the other day that said that it basically criticised it for not knowing what it wanted to be, and they were saying like, oh, it doesn't know whether it wants to be an action film or whether it wants to be a comedy film. But
And that review was shit and wrong.
yeah, like I
That's
don't
my
see
job.
how removing either of them it would have helped it at all.
The thing is, like when you very start the film, when they go to the thing, they're like, oh, we're gonna bust these people, and you think, oh, this is quite serious, and then you see the cars go down, you think, actually, wait a minute, this is a bit ridiculous, and then you see him.
Oh no, Simon had a guest.
Hello, Simon's guest.
And then you fucking see him like chase after the bus, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, and then he's holding on, and it just kind of goes really ridiculous, then serious, then a little bit funny, then a bit ridiculous. But yeah, it's one of them things that most films it doesn't really work, but because it's Jackie Chan doing it, it just works perfectly.
Yeah,
because all the films, even like Rush Hour, even though that film is a bit
Rush Hour.
yeah, it's one of them, it's a blockbuster. It's got Chris Rock in it.
Blockbuster Rush Hour.
I mean, we don't need to do all everyone does the accent. Jesus fucking Christ.
If anyone has a problem,
You,
someone
Alex,
has every right to.
you Jackie Chan in it. Close to the mark.
Jesus
No.
fucking Christ. All three of you all jump on at once, like Jesus Christ.
I didn't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
It's just how Humphrey says things. It just made me laugh.
I said Rush Hour.
Uh,
I didn't. Fuck you.
I apologize for us.
Fuck you. That was Alex. He's sabotaged. He's framing me.
It was all your fault. It was how you say things.
in any case, before we get cancelled, ending statements.
It's good.
I don't think I got to make my favorite scene.
You know.
Ben didn't either.
Okay.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Just because we're being all quiet and stuff doesn't mean you get to cancel us, Simon. I don't think that's fair.
I mean, it's not me doing the cancelling, you know. I'm not Twitter.
Alec cancelled Alec.
Oh yeah.
Alec cancelled himself.
Yourself.
Yes. Fuck you, me. Ben, do you want to go first? I don't mind.
Yeah, it was. Well, like Rob said, I think there's so many great moments. Like, obviously, the beginning is tremendously good, and the scene where he's so unaware of his girlfriend being present in the room when he brings the woman back, and then the cactus reference it keeps coming back because so funny. And the courtroom scene is so brilliantly done. With like, what was it? What did he say? It's like, I object. I object. And that was so good as well. But the phone bit was so clever because he's literally answering so many calls, and it's just like these mundane things that he keeps having to speak to people about. And he's like, "Oh, this happened. Someone so and so got raped. Okay, we'll write this down." And it literally ends with him just getting like 2 pens like that, and just like eating some like noodles, and then realize, oh shit, I've just swallowed the eraser on the end of it. I'm just gonna choke. I think it's just brilliant, like a mixture of like situation comedy and like slapstick. I think it's just perfect. So yeah, I think the phone bit is my favorite.
That is another thing that they do really well that people don't talk about is the physical comedy moments, because like there's 2 bits that come to mind. So the first is the pencils as chopsticks that you just mentioned. Like the timing of those rubbers coming off is just spot on. and then the other one is like it's just after he's just after the fake attack on Selena, and they've cut the phone line, and he's sat there on the phone, and then the phone line just drops. it's timed perfectly. You know? It's so brilliant.
And then he puts it in the... Yeah, fucking.
Well, no one asked, but my favorite scene.
You've been cancelled, Alex. Sorry.
Shit.
What's your favourite scene, Alex?
Thank you, Humphrey. My favorite scene, I think, is sort of when Jackie Chan's still trying to kind of ingratiate Selena into like trusting him. I don't know if ingratiate was the word I wanted there, but fuck it. And he, I just enjoy the sequence where like he's kind of got his mate to become a master sailor. Oh, okay. Like yeah, just having this master sailor sort of come in and scare Selena. So she like trusts him. She's more inclined to trust him more, and she's like, "Why are you so calm?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just used to being a cop. Like, you know, no biggie." And then he gets into the situation where he's got to fight off all these fucking people. And then he's just like, "Oh my fucking god!" And he's like driving up, and she's going like, "Yeah, okay," and he's just like, "Yeah," and she's going like, you seem more stressed out than before, and he's just like, yeah, you know, it's a bit more real than before, and she's like, oh well, you said you were a cop and you don't get stressed out, and he's just like, well, shut up, get in the car. That whole bit is just really fucking funny to me. Just and I think it's all like very character orientated, where you're getting the whole projection thing from Jackie Chan's character. Like he's just yeah, there's not like there's honesty to him, but like it's not here. He wants you to he wants Selena to trust him and just let him do what he needs to do. And yeah, he's very willing to just fucking lie to get her to do it. And I was like, yeah, I really appreciate that. I think that's a cool sequence, and we get some fun fighting in it, and yeah, big
Yeah, fine.
So, ending thoughts?
There's a lot of cool trivia in general about this film. Not that we have time. Yeah, there's a lot of cool trivia and stuff. And if Rob or anyone knows any cool ones they'd like to share before we go, please do. I didn't realize this was his only Best Picture, or one of his only Best Picture nominations in Hong Kong.
Yeah, he won Best Picture for it, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, probably. But like he don't think he ever won it again.
Well, I mean, like Jackie Chan, as great as he is, like he doesn't really win any awards, if you know what I mean. Like he got that
fucking crime.
You know, yeah, he got an Oscar. He got an honorary Oscar, and it's like, I mean, it's an Oscar still, right? But like, it's not the same, you know. He didn't actually win it. He just worked so hard. Everyone went, yeah, I'll give you like a pity Oscar, essentially. And it's like,
not a Posca.
Oh, I do have one bit of trivia that's kind of cool that I just thought of. So apparently the
You just thought of?
I just invented some trivia.
Hearsay, Rob.
So apparently the reason that it's called Police Story and it's got like such a basic title is because there's a series of films before, like Drunken Master and things like that, where basically the title got out and then people started copying the film before it was released. So Jackie Chan was just like, you know what, if I call this Police Story, then nobody's gonna have a clue what it's about.
Yeah,
about police.
That was I like that one. That was a funny one. Another one though, I didn't realize this. Like Bridget Lin was offered a stunt double, but she wanted to do her own stunts, which, like,
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
But I didn't realize she was so scared. She fainted when she did her first one, which involved rolling over a table.
Oh,
She fell on the floor,
Oh.
bruising her hip.
yikes.
And when the crew woke her up, the director just told her to do it again.
I mean, like, it was only rolling over a table. It wasn't like jumping through a car. Or anything. It was like, did she just faint on the table? Yeah, pretty much.
Could you imagine going like, okay, roll over this table, and then she like faints, and you're like, ah, fuck, I gotta ask her to jump off a building into a pool now.
Yeah, it is a good point.
Uh,
Oh, what a guy.
yeah. Better,
Uh,
better director, producer, writer than other certain Hollywood actors.
Yeah, Patrick.
At least.
Yeah, no, I love it, man.
Any more closing thoughts?
A product of its time. It's still a good movie. It's just like there's certain bits that could be better, but it's pretty much 100% off. It's just a little bit off 100%.
I think for me, like, it's just like it's sort of it's one of those things where if somebody said to me like, why do you love Jackie Chan, then rather than trying to explain it, I'd probably just show them this film. And it's kind of like a sort of it's a litmus test in a way. It's like if you get on with Police Story, then we can do more Jackie Chan. If not, then there's probably no point.
Well, I was highly impressed with Police Story. I'm very as someone who has absolutely no exposure to Jackie Chan outside of Kung Fu Panda and Jackie Chan Adventures. I'm very, very fucking open to more Jackie Chan. The guy's a fucking legend.
Did you
More
say it's a
please.
love exposure to Jackie Chan?
Yeah, yeah, that's it. But yeah, more Jackie Chan, please. He works fucking hard. He I haven't got a single fucking problem with the consistency of his script. I was like happily surprised to think that I had plot contrivances, and then I'd go, oh no, that makes complete sense actually.
Wait until his 2008 movies.
This was yeah, no, but this one, fucking joy to watch. Very happy to go, ha, problem? Actually no. And then come back and go, oh, that was actually really fucking good. Like good going. Like it shouldn't take that much, but yeah, here it is. He did a good job. So yeah. Big fan of this. Very impressed. More Jackie Chan, please.
I'm gonna choose a bad Jackie Chan movie for my choices then.
There are no bad Jackie Chan movies as far as I am aware.
Well, you've only watched one, so let's.
That was kind of my joke.
I think the thing with Jackie Chan movies is like the less involvement he has in them, the worse they are, which is quite a compliment, really.
How much was he only an actor? Did he have any writing say for Rush Hour? Because like, I imagine it did like Rush Hour. I feel like there were certain points were a bit. Did he have any like say in that film?
I don't think he wrote it, but I think he coordinated the stunts, if I remember rightly.
I guess that's fair. I guess if he's doing the stunt work, it makes sense.
I think for most of his films, he's done that.
What's the Western film he did with
Shanghai Noon?
That they're good films actually. I definitely suggest watching them. They're very much like Rush Hour, just but in a Western setting.
Yeah.
So you just like buddy cop films?
Yeah, it's Jackie Chan.
the films that he directed, though, like they've all got kind of like a similar thread where it's just like just the action is just amazing. Like there's a famous scene in Project A where there's like he kind of like falls from the top of a building and goes through two sort of
Oh.
like canvases and then lands on his head. It's like, yeah.
What's the film where he's running up or he's going down the glass?
That is, I think that is Who Am I? Because essentially he is like what he essentially is like running down the glass, but he kind of like stopped running down the glass and it's like slowly like flying down the glass. Yeah, yeah, that's Who Am I? I'm pretty sure.
Because he gets to the bottom and there's no net or anything. He's literally just on the top of a building, falling down it with no safety protection or harnesses or anything. He's just falling down.
Yeah.
And I think he lands on the edge of the building. That's like
No, yeah, because essentially he has to take off his watch and like crack into the glass. If I remember how that goes.
oh,
Yeah, it's good. It's a great scene. But it's like, you know you could have died, right? Why do you make yourself go through all this shit?
because hasn't he broke his legs like multiple times?
I think he has broken nearly every bone in his body twice in theory. Because like
Crazy, man, isn't it?
yeah, I mean like he's like cracked multiple ribs multiple times, like dislocated his like his shoulders all the time. And yeah, so it's like he's either broke or dislocated something multiple times, he just can't remember because it just doesn't keep count. It's the reason why you don't really see him do many action films nowadays, because the insurance for him is too expensive.
Yeah.
Because there's a film where he breaks his ankle or something during filming and he wears a cast, but they cover it up with a shoe, so it makes it look like he's just, and he carries on with a broken foot.
I think that was Rush Hour, wasn't it?
I think yeah, that might have been Rush Hour, actually.
I think it was, yeah.
They all kind of blend in because he always hurts himself. But yeah, he's got like a cast on his foot and he's still acting because he's just mad. He's a very determined man. That's all I say. He's very determined.
Definitely is.
Okay.
Mm.
So any other closing thoughts for anyone?
No.
Okay. So who is next for picking films?
Ben.
What is your film, Ben?
It is.
Grim.
It's not The Room.
Oh.
It is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite.
Oh, damn. You guys haven't done Parasite yet?
No, we have not.
Damn.
It is amazing, actually. This is like our fifth Bong Joon-ho film.
Yeah, this guy is just a terrific director, and that's like, I think we've probably all collectively seen all of his movies, but this is probably one of his best in my
Great
opinion.
pick.
I will say this. I haven't actually watched it yet.
Oh,
How have you not?
No,
just as bad as Alec.
I've never watched it either. So
Just as
How
bad
have
as
you
Alec.
not?
no.
I know it's a good film because I hear everyone talk about it, and it's just like, damn, I just haven't had time to watch it yet. So
I saw it got Oscars.
Yeah, it did. It is one of those films that's worthy of that, just because of how unique it is. There's not many films that is.
Sorry, good night. I've been falling asleep.
That's okay, mate. I'll speak to you next week. I hope you enjoyed the film again. Have a good week.
Okay, bye.
Good
Ben,
night.
I'll beat you, Ben. I don't want you beating me on the scores.
Oh, no, but hate. We'll see.
I did. Weirdly enough, it was advertising on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, am I going to hate this film? And then you picked it, so we'll see. We'll see.
It's a very good film.
I don't know. I don't know the premise of it, so that's good. I'd rather not know what the film's about. So I find that it's a bit like the film like the Jackie Chan film. It says in the film description about he gets framed for being What the fuck?
He's actually snoring. Oh, bless him.
No, because it says that he gets framed for killing a fellow police officer. It's only until 20 minutes before the end that it actually happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bad synopsis, really, because that's
Because
not
then
the
I was
premise.
thinking to myself, well, this is not really what it said. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this is the bit. And I'm like, but the film's nearly finished. Whereas if it just said, like,
What
don't
would
know.
your synopsis be of the film?
What
How would you describe
that's
the
what I was
police?
that's what I'm trying to think. I would have said, like, good guy, cop, arrest bad guy, but all chaos ensues when a witness goes missing. Something like that. I don't know. I'd have to think about it a bit more. But yeah, it felt a bit misleading when I read the synopsis on Amazon that because if it happened early in the film and you spend the whole film going through that motion, then it wouldn't be so bad. But as it's literally 20 minutes from the end.
I would have described it more like, what is this character's name again? I can't remember actually.
Kakui.
The misadventures of Kakui. After he arrests the gang member, he has to protect this witness who is a sassy lady played by I feel like that would be I guess because that betrayal scene or the not the betrayal, so the frame scene is a bit like far in the movie, so kind of spoil it, I guess. But that's the way that it is for cinema, and I feel like for the sake of Alex Pride, we should probably